Welcome to working with Adobe XD, and as you see I've just got two graphics up there. These are a social media Instagram post, and I've got 1 and 2. These are all part of the same file. Now what I want to do is to make sure this is a home, I just move to prototype and I can just click on the home there if it's not already home. This means when I come over it and play it, it will start up on that file. And as you can see, this is using components on the side, or one of them anyway, which I can actually click and we get a few effects. Now if I just were to close that, you see it's jumping between the two here. So this is just creating some states, etc. Now this is a much bigger file because you can have multiple files on the page. So if I was just go to Command 0 just to show you all the different ones I've got. So I've got a few different things here. Twitter, Web 1, I'm just starting up Web 1, and just a range of files here, and usually you've got a 1 and a 2 page start. Now you can put many components and interactions even in one frame, but this one I just want to jump to a second or secondary area, maybe like this first one here, and if I just click on that and come back to play it, then I've got my rollover state, but when I click on it I've just got some auto animate, basically just so I'm getting that graph type feel. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take you through quickly the process of putting a component together, and of course you can have multiple pages or setups on this, particularly if you're doing a web to a iPad to a phone or social media. It can all be done really in the same file. But anyway, let's just go ahead using the same graphic. So a good way to do this is just come back to design view here, and I'm going to come down and I'm going to click on my page, and I'm just going to choose a social media output just down here. This stage I'm going to stay with just a nice easy to use format, just a iPad, and it's 768 by 1024, and there it is over the side. Now what I might want to do, I can keep it going out the side, or if I just drag it, you see it just goes through and fits basically wherever you want it. So what I'm going to do is just going to leave it here, and I'm just going to basically Command 3, that's going to zoom in. Now before I do Command 3, let's say I just click these two and they're both selected. Now what I need to do is just click on the prototype view, see they're both selected, and when I put this through like so, oops, I'll just get two, and anyway, and when I go to my view here, which is just Command 3, you'll see that what it's going to do is just jump to all the ones selected there. So maybe I just go and choose those ones and Command 3 again. So I got an extra one there, it just fits that. So it makes it really, really easy. Anyway, let's just go down. I'm going to hold my space bar and just move down until we get to this page down the bottom here. Nothing here at the moment. So I just want to do a simple component state for doing a button. There's a little bit of a trick to doing it and making sure that what we're doing is going to work nicely. So I'm going to use very simple states, just basically a normal setup state and the default state, and then just a hover state, and show you what you do to get it working correctly. So let's just go through and make a graphic here. Of course, to design it, we go to design view. Let's see, well, I'm going to just create a nice little button shape just over here, and I'm just going to drag my button shape here. Now if you want to control it a little bit more like a web type format, you can just come down here, and within the setups here, if it's actually on the page there, I'll just click on the page, very much a contextual menu, so I'll just double click, there it is, the page set, and I might just want to do a layout mode like so, or for that matter I might even want to do a square mode, and I can change the squares just like I can change all the columns etc. by moving it here. So that might be an easy format just to help you measure things out at the start. At least I can see I've got mine pretty well sorted out, but I'm going to go back to the pointer tool and just click in that middle graphic, bring it a little bit, just making my button, because I can turn this off at any stage. I'm just going to fill in a little bit more to make sure it's all lining up, because these marks are going to be quite helpful to me. But anyway, let's just go through, and I'm just going to put a fill state in here, which is just a fill of it. Actually might go a bit lighter than that, and just get more into the yellows there, and that's a better color. And do I want a border? Yes, I do want a border there, so I'm just going to click down to my border, and I'm just going to make that say 10, just so it's definitely an obvious border. And of course I can click and change the color to anything I want. I'm happy with that color. On this top one here, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to do just grab a little sphere here and bring out. I might just hold the Shift key. Just want to get it nicely lined up and do a graphic maybe just a bit bigger. That's cool, and I'll get some color for that. Let's see, I'm going to do this, make sure it's obvious. That's great. And just come back to my border here. I don't want a border at all. Just go back to the pointer tool and just line up. That's great. Okay, so the reason I've got this grid pattern here at the moment, or this layout state, is just so if I want to do some graphics here, which in this case maybe I just want to drag a line, getting it nicely lined up across here. And then I might simply make it a little bit bigger. So I might just go to 10 again, just so I've got a different or a better size. So the color, of course, I can change anything I want here just to get this working. And I'm just going to select that color. Of course, if I want to add any of my colors in here, I just come down here and I can add my colors like so. In fact, just coming back to this other graphic with this fill color, I can also add that color in there. So those colors will stay with the set. So just a good way to do it. Let's go and put this together. So we've got our button component graphic, which is not a component yet. Nothing down here that shows that. Well, this might be similar, but it's a different one. We're going to set this up in a minute, and we've got our line here. Now, what I want to do with the line is we can go through with the pen tool and, of course, use and create any graphics you want. And this might be a great way to do it. But we don't always have to do that. So I can just delete that one off. And I'm going to come back to just my straight line tool here. And with that graphics, just select it. I can just click it in here, double click, start off with 1. There it is. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And what I can do is then just start moving that. And here I can line it up like so. And I'm just going to quickly do it, just quickly eyeball it, but you can be quite precise by putting it this way together. And then you might decide, which I haven't done this correctly here. So what I want to do is, it doesn't matter because I just wanted a bit more space to do something a little bit more curved. So any of the graphics here, I'm just going to double click. There it is. Double click. Double click, double click, so I've got a curved line. Double click. Of course, you can go back and click it again, and it'll go back and revert the other way or go back to a line. But anyway, I just want to keep that nice and smooth. And that means that now I can actually play with something a little bit smoother in animation. You could have stayed quite easily with the sharp shapes as well. Nonetheless, what I'm going to do now is, I'm happy with this. I could make it bigger at any stage or change colors or whatever, but let's stay with that. But I don't need my layout field now. So I go back to my pointer tool and I just click back here and double click to access it, and I can come back and just turn that off because we're in the area of the design and just selecting the page now. It becomes very contextual, remember. Okay, number one is, here's my graphic here, and there's my button state. Before we go and make another page with this, you can see the name up here. I can highlight that and double click and call it any name I want. I'm just going to stay with that naming convention. That's fine for what we want for this one. But before that, I'm just going to grab a marquee around my 2 objects here. Then you simply come up to Object, and you just come down here and it says Make Component, or you can just go Command K. There it is, and you can see this diamond shape there, and that represents its a component. And here it is up here, component 7. What I don't want is component 7, so I'm just going to give it a bit of a name, and I'm just going to call it my BTN, just for button, and that's great. So it is good to name them. So if you're doing something that's going to be more involved with lots of components, make sure you do it that way along with all your other graphics. So now we're ready to go with the other background effect. Now I could, of course, at any stage with the background change it to another color, and I might just do it for the sake of this one. So just the fill color here, and I'm going to bring in just a third color there, and I also want to add this to the mix. So there we are, another one that's in our set. So fantastic. So now I'm going to click on just the top, so just this one up here, and go Command D for duplicate, and there it is. So both of these are button states, but what I want to do is I wanted to give this a direction, if you will. Now, one thing I did with this button state, I can at any stage basically it's just copied through here. So if I click on that or click on that, it's still the button state, and I haven't given all those actions. It's good to sort it out at the beginning, to basically get a lot of the actions working, but not to worry, because it's one state used in many instances of it. So we can go back to just the main one, and I'm just going to click on maybe just the start one here, and I'm going to now, with that selected, come over here and it says default state. I'm going to click down here. I just want nice and simple. We can keep adding new states, but I just want to do a straight hover state. And with the hover state here, come through, and what I'm going to do is just double click, and then I'm going to hold my shift key and just move it to the side here. And that looks great. Okay. And basically with that, just make it go back to the button. So I'm just going to go prototype just for a minute before I do anything with it, and just click on that, and basically just come up and play. And why isn't it working? Well, this is the trick of it. So if I just close this again, and I'm just going to come back in just to design view, there's my button. The trick is, before you go and play and test out anything, make sure you go back to your default state and to all of your graphics, so you can really see how it's really going to look. So if we were to do that again, if I just go back and play it now, and there you go. So we've got our state. Of course, it's not doing anything yet. Okay, so that solves problem number one if you're putting it together. It's very simple, but also very simple to get wrong. And of course, once you get used to doing it with simple buttons, then you get more used to it when you're adding a lot more states into it when you want to navigate around the page a bit more. So let's just go through here, and now we're going to put some action onto this. So with this file here, in fact, what I want to do is to make it really easy. I can drag any icon to go to another page, but with this one here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into my hover state here, and this is on the hover state, and with this hover state, I can actually basically work out where it's going to go, but I don't see anything in here. Why not? Because we're in design view. So let's just try that again, and just click on that, and I'm in hover state here, and I can just click on it like so, and I don't need to drag it over to this page. All I need to do is decide on what I want to do, and what I want to do with this file is it's going to be a tap. The other thing is I don't want to transition, I want to do an auto animate, and I can give it any time factor here. If I want to slow it down or whatever, that's up to you. But I simply then just go through and choose the state that I'm going to. So right down the bottom here, we're using iPad Nexus 1 or 9.1. So where is the 1? It doesn't come up because we're already on it, and it knows we don't need to use that. But the only other option I've got here is the second one. And there it goes. It just goes and drags it through. So let's go back and do the same thing on this one over here. So if I go on this, we can go to the same state. It's actually doing the same things we want. If I just click on this one and just make sure I'm down here on the hover state and click on this one, then I can just choose my artboard. So you see, we can't actually access it and do it properly, and it's very easy to get this wrong. That's why I've gone through it this way. I'm in the hover state, and this will appear. And so if you know this appears, then it's going to work. So here is page 1. So that's why page 2 is not there. So let's just go through, and I'm just going to now remember, go back to my default state, and with this one as well. So we're just in design view, and you see how easy it is to get wrong? Make sure this is in default state, so they're both back in the same way of working. So you can easily get these things wrong, but it's just remembering to go back to this default state. So I'll just go into prototype now, and this is going to be the first page. There it is, the home page here. So let's just go and play it and see how that works. Okay, so we're going to page 1 and page 2. Now why is nothing happening here? Because I forgot the easiest one of it all is change the graphic. So let's see, what are we going to do with that one? I'm just going to come back to my design view, and the second one, very, very simple. I can just double click, and now I can change around the other way. And let's have some real fun with this. Maybe we're doing a chart here showing your profit and loss statements. I'm just going to leave the first one. Maybe I'll take that one up the top there. And let's maybe make it a good profit here, even though it is going down at the base here. So click outside that, come back to my first page, prototype, home page there. Let's just test it once more. Now if I test it, there you go. There's our animation going backwards and forwards. So simple. So if you do want to record this as a video, remember all you do is you click here, and now it's got that graphic recording the video. You can also, within that, record your voice as well, but that's enough. When I want to stop, just go stop. And then it will come up and just ask me to say that button test, and I've got the video of the file as well. So thanks for watching. That's just how simple it is, but as you can see, it's very simple to get these things wrong. Default, what you set it back to when you're going to go and test all these. Thanks.